Just build something. Make that MVP, get something out the door into your customers' hands. But is an MVP even what your customers want? We're going to be reading an article from Jason Cohen called Your Customers Hate MVPs, Make a SLC Instead. So if you don't know who Jason Cohen is, a smart bear on Twitter /X, and then all long form writing at longform.asmartbear.com. Basically founded two unicorns, wpengine.com and smartbear.com. Incredibly smart individual. And we're going to be reading the blog post titled Your Customers Hate MVPs, Make a SLC Instead. MVP implies a selfish process, abusing customers so you can quote unquote learn. Instead, make the first version SLC, simple, lovable, and complete. There's a cartoon graphic on here with the quote, what was initially thought to be a simple process is in fact an incredibly complicated, intricate, and complex system that I've codified and organized into a few easy to follow rules that are more difficult to implement than you'd think. Disillusioned with MVP. Product teams have been repeating the MVP, minimum viable product mantra for a decade now without reevaluating whether it's the right way to maximize learning while pleasing the customer. Well, it's not the best system. It's selfish and it hurts customers. We don't build MVPs at WP Engine. The motivation behind the MVP is still valid. Build something small because small things are quick and inexpensive to test. 2, get it into the market quickly because real learning occurs only when real customers are using a real product. But 3, trash it or hard pivot if it's a failure, or invest it if it's a seedling with potential. MVPs are great for startups and product teams because they maximize so-called validated learning as quickly as possible. And while customer interviews are useful, you learn brand new things when a customer actually uses the product. But MVPs are a selfish act. The problem is customers hate MVPs. Startups are encouraged by the great Reid Hoffman to launch early enough that you're embarrassed by your V1.0 release. But no customer wants to use an unfinished product that the creators are embarrassed by. Customers want great products that they can use now. MVPs are 2M and rarely V. Customers see that and hate it. It might be great for the product team, but it's bad for customers, and ultimately, what's bad for customers is bad for the company. Fortunately, there's a better way to build and validate products. The insight comes by honoring the utility of MVPs listed above, while giving just as much consideration to the customer's experience. SLC, simple, lovable, complete. In order for the product to be small and delivered quickly, it has to be simple. Customers accept simple products every day, even if it doesn't do everything needed. As long as the product never claimed to do more than it does, customers are forgiving. For example, it was okay that early versions Google Docs had only 3% of the features of Microsoft Word, because Docs did a great job at what it was primarily designed for, which is simplicity and real-time collaboration. Google Docs was simple, but also complete. This is decidedly different from the classic MVP, which by definition isn't complete. In fact, it's embarrassing. Simple is good. Incomplete is not. The customer should have a genuine desire to use the product as is, not because it's version 0.1 of something complex, but because it's version 1.0 of something simple. It is not contradictory for products to be simple as well as complete. Examples include the first versions of WhatsApp, Snapchat, Stripe, Twilio, Twitter, and Slack. Some of those later expanded to add complexity, Snapchat, Stripe, Slack, whereas some kept it simple as a permanent value, Twitter, WhatsApp. Virgin Air and Southwest Airlines both started with only a single route, small but complete. The final ingredient is that the product has to be lovable. People have to want to use it. Products that do less but are loved are more successful than products which have more features but that people dislike. The original, very low feature, very highly loved, hyper-successful early versions of all the products listed in the previous paragraph are examples. The Darwinian success loop of a product is a function of love, not of features. There are many ways to generate love. Minimum and viable are definitely not among those ways. The current in vogue way is through design, elegant UX combined with delightful UI, but there are other ways. The attitude and culture of the company itself can generate love, such as Uffer's blog with its surprising transparency, or Meet Edgar's blog, genuinely helping entrepreneurs, or HubSpot's blog, which early on was at least as instrumental to their customer success as the actual product. Another way is through a deep connection to the psyche and work style of customers, like Heroku, who broke with marketing tradition by filling the homepage with command line examples instead of benefit statements, thereby connecting instantly with their geeky target customer. See this article. This will be linked in the show notes and description for many more examples of how to generate love. From this reasoning, years ago, I named what I believe is the correct alternative to the MVP: simple, lovable, and complete, SLC. We pronounce it slick, as in, what's the slick version of your idea? So summarizing SLC: simple, because complex things can be built quickly and you need to ship product to customers now. Because crappy products are insulting to customers and you didn't start this company to make crappy products, the love overpowers the fact that it's buggy and feature poor. There are many wonderful, powerful, competitively defensible forms of love. Pick a few. Complete, because products are supposed to accomplish a job. Customers want to use a V1 of something simple, not V0.1 of something broken. Life after SLC. Another benefit of SLC becomes apparent when you consider the next version of the product. An SLC product does not require ongoing development in order to add value. It is possible that V1 should evolve for years into a V4, but you also have the option of not investing further in the product, yet it still adds value. An MVP that never gets additional investment is just a bad product. SLC that never gets additional investment is a good, if modest, product. Although not called SLC, there's a popular meme in product circles that neatly encapsulates the idea of SLC in a diagram. The modes of transportation example from the Spotify product theme. This will be listed in the show notes or in the YouTube description if you're seeing this, how to build a minimum viable product. Not like this with one wheel, two wheel, the body of the car and then the whole car. Like this: skateboard, scooter, bicycle, motorcycle, car. A skateboard is an SLC product. It's faster than walking, it's simple, many people love it, and it's a complete product that doesn't need additions to be fun or practical. At the same time, you can evolve the skateboard by adding a stem and handlebars to create a scooter, only slightly less simple and definitely lovable and complete. Next, you could grow the wheels, add a seat, add some gears, and you have a bike. Again, less simple, but now you have a product with massive benefits of speed, distance, and energy efficiency. Zooming into one of our examples above, Snapchat took an SLC progression similar to the transportation metaphor. The first iteration of the product was a screen where tapping anywhere took a picture that you could then send to someone else, at which time it disappeared. No video, no filters, no social networking, no commenting, and no storage. Simple, yet lovable and complete, as evidenced by its massive adoption. The insight of no storage was critical, but many people have theorized that the simplicity of the interface was also critical. The very fact that it was simple while not sacrificing lovability or completeness caused its success. Later, they added lots of stuff: video, filters, timelines, even video cameras inside sunglasses. It's okay for products to become complex. Starting out SLC does not preclude becoming complex later. With SLC, the outcomes are better and your options for next steps are better. If it fails, that's okay. It's a failed experiment. Both SLCs and MVPs will sometimes produce that result because the whole point is to experiment. But if a SLC succeeds, you've already delivered real value to customers and you have multiple futures available to you, none of which are urgent. You could build a V2, and because you're already generating value, you have more time to decide what that should look like. You could even query existing customers to determine exactly what V2 should entail instead of a set of alpha testers who just want to know, when are you going to fix this broken thing? Or you can decide not to work on it. Not every product has to become complex. Not every product needs new major versions every 2 quarters. Some things can just remain simple, lovable, and complete. Ask your customers. They'll agree. This is not the first time that I've read this blog post. I love the ideas that are brought forth here by Jason. One, making it simple is so hard to do as developers because most of the times when we think simple, we think solving the problem that's in our head rather than the problem that actually comes to fruition when we're building a particular product or a particular application. When we talk about simple, it's not what makes the job get done quicker, or even what has the less steps in order to get a job done in an efficient manner. Simple just simply means you don't have to spend any time thinking about it that you normally would, especially when it comes to solving problems. And I think that kind of pairs along really nicely with the lovable and complete aspect, because again, most of the times us as developers, when we're building a product, and I've been guilty of doing this many a times, when you think about building something complete, you're thinking about every single feature that you have in your head that you're like, I cannot actually build this piece until I build this piece because I need this piece, even though the piece Y doesn't necessarily rely on piece Z. It could in the future. I don't necessarily need to have this database structure, but it could in the future. I don't necessarily need to be able to support tens of thousands of customers right now, but I could in the future. And so why don't I start making that part of the complete version? And so piece by piece, usually what we're having to do is strip pieces of that away to release our MVP, which is a good thing. And like this blog post said, pushing something out quick is not a bad thing. But most of the time it's at the expense, because of not making things simple, because of not having that idea of being complete. You strip away pieces that arguably make it now unusable until you create that. In the sense of being lovable, I think one of the items that I have learned so much about this is how are you actually caring about the product and the problem that you're solving as a founder, as a creator, as an engineer, whether you're working for a startup or whether this is like an indie hacker kind of thing that you're building yourself. Because if you don't necessarily care about the problem that you're solving, it's going to be evident in how you display that through the application, through the UI, through the marketing, through the branding, through your just how you talk about your product or your application. It's going to be extremely evident. But on the flip side, when it is something that you love, when you show care about the product that you have and the product that you're displaying to customers, people notice that. And in a lot of ways, I think evidence through this blog post by Jason that simple products that might not be as maybe efficient in some ways as solving a specific problem, but that are more complete, or at least just as complete, and in a more lovable way than competitor X, competitor Y, you're going to win out in the long run, because ultimately people want to have something that supports their problems by people who feel the same way about their problems that they do. So overall, as you're thinking about that next product, that next indie hacker side quest, that next application that you're looking to build, it doesn't necessarily need to be complete from day one, just like this blog post said. But as you start building it, think about what is the best way to get the overall problem. You have to do some maybe like a bird's eye view approach to this. Take a step back and think, if there was only one thing this application did, and I did it so well that it didn't disqualify me from caring about it or disqualify me from being able to share it like I would want to share it, what would that one amazing thing be? And then how can I build that? How can I build it in a simple way where I'm not thinking down the line of I need to support X feature, I need to support Y feature. How can I build this now? How can I create something that people enjoy, that people love, that people use, that people appreciate? The amount of love and care and simplicity and completeness I have pushed into this SLC. So keep creating, keep building, create that SLC.